Rain drummed against the windshield. Damian Cortez sat rigid in his black sedan, staring at nothing through the downpour. He glanced toward the sidewalk. His chest tightened. A woman huddled there beneath a cardboard sign, gaunt, trembling as she extended a paper cup toward passing strangers. But that face, even through the grime and exhaustion, he recognized it. Solene, the wife who abandoned him and their 2-year-old son 3 years ago without a single word. Why was she begging on the street? And what happened during those 3 missing years? Damian's hands gripped the steering wheel until his knuckles whitened. 3 years of silence. 3 years of raising Liam alone while building his tech company into an empire worth hundreds of millions. 3 years of convincing himself he was better off without her. The light turned green. Cars behind him honked. Damian didn't move. He threw the car into park and stepped into the rain. Cold water soaked through his suit immediately. He crossed the street, each step heavier than the last. Up close, she looked worse. Her clothes hung loose on a frame that seemed barely able to support itself. Her deep brown skin had lost its warmth, looking ashen and tired. The cardboard sign beside her read, "Please help. God bless." Her hands shook so violently the cup rattled against the pavement. "Solene." The woman's head snapped up. Her eyes went wide with terror. She scrambled backward, knocking over the cup. Coins scattered across the wet sidewalk. "No," Solene whispered. Her voice came out broken. "No, please." Damian crouched down slowly. Rain pounded against his shoulders. "It's me," he said quietly. "It's Damian." Recognition flickered across her face, then something worse than fear. Shame. I'm so sorry. I'll go. Her legs gave out. Damian caught her before she hit the ground. She weighed almost nothing. "When did you last eat?" Damian asked. Solene didn't answer. Her eyes had gone distant, unfocused. She flinched when he touched her shoulder. Damian lifted her carefully, carrying her back to his car. She didn't resist, just stared straight ahead like she wasn't entirely present. He settled her into the passenger seat and turned the heat on full blast. The drive to his estate took 20 minutes. Solene said nothing the entire time. Damian's mind raced. What was he doing? She left him. She abandoned their son without explanation. But seeing her like this, broken, terrified, barely alive, erased every angry speech he'd rehearsed. The gates to his property opened automatically. Solene's eyes widened slightly as the mansion came into view. 10 bedrooms, 8 bathrooms, a guest house, pool, gardens, all of it empty except for him, Liam, and the nanny who came during the day. When they reached the front door, Solene stopped. "Your son," she whispered. "Is he—" "He's at his grandmother's tonight," Damian said. Relief crossed her face. Inside, he led her to a guest suite on the first floor. "There are clean towels in the bathroom. I'll bring you some clothes. And I'm calling a doctor." Solene's head snapped toward him. "Please don't. You need medical attention. I'm not asking." He left before she could argue. His phone was already out, dialing his private physician. Dr. Rowan Patel arrived within the hour. Damian paced the hallway while the examination took place. The door finally opened. "She's severely malnourished," the doctor said quietly. His dark face was grave with concern. "Dangerously underweight, anemic, signs of prolonged stress and exposure. I've started her on an IV. She'll need careful monitoring." "Can she talk? Physically?" "Yes. But Mr. Cortez, that woman has been through significant trauma. She shows signs of severe anxiety, possibly PTSD. Be gentle." After the doctor left, Damian knocked softly and entered. Solene lay in the bed, propped up by pillows. The IV line ran into her arm. She'd showered. Her natural hair was damp, darker now. Without the grime, he could see her face clearly. The woman he'd loved. Older now, haunted, but still her. "Thank you," Solene said to the wall. "For helping me. I'll leave as soon as I can." "You're not leaving." Her eyes finally met his. They were the same deep brown he remembered, but emptier. "I can't stay here." "Why not?" "Because I don't deserve your kindness. Because I ruined everything." Damian pulled a chair close to the bed. "I spent 3 years hating you. 3 years wondering what I did wrong. 3 years trying to explain to our son why his mother didn't want him." Solene flinched. "But seeing you out there tonight, I realized something. Whatever happened, it wasn't because you were living some better life without us." Tears slipped down Solene's face. "So I need to know," Damian said. "Why did you leave? And how did you end up on that street?" Solene was quiet for so long, he thought she wouldn't answer. "I thought I was protecting you," she whispered. "I thought if I stayed, someone would kill me, and maybe hurt you and Liam too." Damian's blood went cold. "What are you talking about?" Solene closed her eyes. "Not tonight. I can't. Not tonight." Damian wanted to push, wanted to demand answers, but Dr. Patel's words echoed in his mind. "Be gentle. Get some rest. We'll talk when you're ready." He was almost to the door when Solene spoke again. "Is he okay? Liam, is he happy?" Damian turned back. "He's a good kid. Smart. Funny. He asks about you sometimes." Solene covered her face with her hands. Her shoulders shook silently. Damian left her to grieve in private. He climbed the stairs to his own room and sat on the edge of his bed. The rain had finally stopped. His ex-wife was downstairs. Someone tried to kill her. That's what she'd said. Someone made her so afraid she spent 3 years on the streets rather than come back. He pulled out his phone and scrolled to a contact he hadn't used in years. Callum Briggs, private investigator. Damian typed, "Need to meet. Urgent. Money is no object." The response came within minutes. "Tomorrow, 10 a.m., my office." Damian set the phone down. Somewhere in this house, his son's mother was lying awake, terrified of shadows he couldn't see yet. But he would. He'd shine light into every dark corner until he found what had broken his family apart. The meeting with Callum Briggs lasted 40 minutes. Damian laid out everything he knew. A wife who vanished 3 years ago. A threat he never saw coming. Briggs listened, taking notes. His sharp eyes missed nothing. "I'll need access to your home. Security footage from back then if you still have it. Phone records. Anyone who had contact with your wife before she disappeared. Whatever you need. And I'll need to talk to her eventually. She's not ready." Briggs studied him. "Mr. Cortez, if someone threatened your wife badly enough that she fled, that person might still be a threat. Time matters. Give me a week. Push her too hard and she'll run again. 1 week." When Damian returned home, he found Dr. Patel in the kitchen. "She ate some soup this morning. Not much, but it's a start. She should be strong enough to move around by tomorrow." "And mentally?" "That's going to take longer. I prescribed medication for anxiety, but she refused. Said she needs to stay alert." After the doctor left, Damian stood outside Solene's door. He knocked gently before entering. Solene sat by the window, wrapped in a blanket. She'd pulled her hair back into a loose knot. "How are you feeling?" Damian asked. "Better. Thank you for everything." Damian sat down. "Liam comes home tomorrow. I need to know what to tell him." Something flickered across Solene's face. Pain, longing, fear. "Tell him I'm a friend. Someone you're helping. He won't remember me anyway. He asks about you. Where you went. Why you left. If you didn't love him." Tears streamed down her face. "I love him more than anything. That's why I left." The next few days fell into an uneasy routine. Solene grew stronger physically. She could walk without support now. But she moved through the house carefully, always checking over her shoulder. Doors closing too hard made her jump. Damian noticed everything. The way she positioned herself with her back to walls. the nightmares that woke her gasping in the darkness. Liam came home on Sunday afternoon. His son burst through the door with his usual energy. "Dad, can we go to the park? Grandma said—" Liam stopped. He was staring at Solene, who stood frozen in the hallway. "Liam, this is Solene," Damian said carefully. "She's staying with us for a while. She's a friend who needs some help." Liam tilted his head. "Why do you need help?" Solene opened her mouth. Nothing came out. "She's been sick," Damian said. "So we're taking care of her until she feels better." "Okay," Liam said easily. Then he grabbed Damian's hand. "Can we go to the park now?" When they returned 2 hours later, Solene was in her room with the door closed. Damian put Liam to bed and came back downstairs. He poured himself a whiskey and stood by the window. Footsteps made him turn. Solene stood in the doorway. "I saw him through the window when you put him to bed. He's so big now." Damian said nothing, just waited. "I need to tell you what happened," Solene said. "I need you to understand why I did what I did." She moved to the couch and sat down carefully. Damian took the chair across from her. 3 years ago, Liam was 2 years old. Solene began. "You were working on that big merger. You were at the office 18 hours a day." Damian remembered. It had been the deal that launched his company into the major leagues. "I started getting letters, anonymous. They came to the house. Someone slid one under our door at 3 in the morning while we were sleeping." "What did they say?" "Leave Damian or die." Solene's voice dropped to almost nothing. Over and over. Different threats, but always the same message. Damian's blood went cold. "I thought it was a prank at first, but then I started noticing things. Someone following me. A car parked outside our house at odd hours. Footsteps behind me when I walked in the neighborhood." "Why didn't you tell me?" "I tried. Remember that night I said we needed to talk? You got a call from your partner. You left. It was 2 in the morning before you came home." Damian did remember, vaguely. He'd thought it was something small. "Then one night I woke up, and the bedroom window was open. I know I locked it. But it was open, wide open, and there were muddy footprints on the windowsill. Jesus. I was terrified. But you were in New York for the week. I told myself I was being irrational, paranoia." She wiped her face. "Then it happened. I was crossing the street near our house. Daytime, bright sun. I looked both ways, and a car came out of nowhere. It aimed right at me, Damian. It didn't swerve, didn't brake. It hit me and drove away." Damian's hands gripped the armrests. "The accident. You told me it was a hit and run." "It was. But it wasn't an accident. Someone was trying to kill me. I almost lost Liam that night. The doctor said it was a miracle he survived." She looked up at Damian with hollow eyes. "After that, I couldn't think straight. I was so afraid all the time. I kept thinking about who could hate me enough to do this, and I kept coming back to your mother. She never wanted us together. She told me at our wedding that I'd never be good enough for you." Damian's chest constricted. His mother had never hidden her disapproval. "But murder?" "I couldn't prove it. I had no evidence, just letters with no fingerprints and a car that was never found. Who would believe me? Your own mother." "I would have believed you." "Would you?" Solene met his eyes. "Would you really have believed your wife over your own mother with no proof?" Damian wanted to argue, but he'd been so absent during those months, so focused on work. "I decided the only way to keep Liam safe was to leave. If I disappeared, whoever wanted me dead would stop. You could raise our son in peace. So you signed divorce papers and vanished." "I made it look like I wanted out, like I'd found someone else. I thought if you hated me it would be easier. You'd move on." "I never forgot you," Damian said quietly. Solene's face crumpled. "I lived in shelters, cheap motels when I could find work. Eventually even that ran out. I couldn't use my real name, couldn't apply for jobs that needed background checks. I just disappeared into the streets, and every day I told myself Liam was safe, that it was worth it. Silence filled the room. "I'm going to find who did this," Damian said finally. His voice was ice. "And they're going to pay." The next morning, Damian drove to the old house where he and Solene had lived, a small 2-bedroom he'd been meaning to sell for years. He unlocked the door and stepped into stale air and dust. Behind the dresser, wedged against the wall, he found a small plastic case. Inside was a hard drive labeled Security Cam Backup in Solene's handwriting. The date was 3 days before she disappeared. His pulse quickened. He grabbed the drive and headed straight home. His office had top-of-the-line equipment. He connected the drive and waited while old files loaded. After several minutes, grainy security footage appeared on screen. Damian fast-forwarded through hours of nothing. Then a car pulling up across the street, sitting there for 30 minutes before driving away. He marked the file and kept searching. More footage. Solene leaving the house. The same car following her. Then the moment that made his blood run cold. Solene crossing the street in broad daylight. The car accelerating from a parked position. The impact. Solene falling. The car speeding away. Damian zoomed in on the driver's window. The quality was terrible, but he could make out a figure. Female. Dark hair. And when she reached to shift gears, her hand appeared in frame. On the back of that hand was a distinctive scar, crescent moon-shaped, pale against dark brown skin. Damian stared at the screen. He knew that scar. He'd asked about it once during a late night at the office. The woman had laughed and said she'd burned herself on a stove as a child. Mara, his secretary, his trusted right hand for 5 years. The person who'd been by his side through every major deal, who brought him coffee exactly how he liked it, who'd consoled him after Solene left. Mara had tried to kill his wife. Damian called Callum Briggs immediately. "I found something. I need you here now." Briggs arrived within the hour. Damian showed him the footage. "That's your secretary," Briggs said finally. "Mara Ellison." "Yes. We need to be smart about this. If she did this 3 years ago, she might try again now that your ex-wife is back. We should set a trap." Damian's mind was already working. "She doesn't know I found the footage. As far as Mara knows, Solene is just some homeless woman I'm helping." "Does Mara know who Solene really is?" "I haven't told her, but she might have seen her." "Then we make sure she does. We let Mara know exactly who's staying with you, and we watch what she does next." The plan came together quickly. Damian had cameras installed throughout his house, hidden ones. He made sure his security team knew to let Mara in whenever she came by. Then he mentioned casually during a phone call that his ex-wife had shown up and was staying at the house. Mara's response was perfectly measured. "That's very generous of you, Damian. I'm sure it must be difficult having her back after everything." "It's complicated. But she's Liam's mother. I couldn't just leave her on the street." "Of course not. You're a good man." 2 days later, Mara showed up with a basket of food. Homemade soup, fresh bread, tea. Damian answered the door. Mara smiled warmly, her beautiful dark face arranged in perfect concern. "I thought you and your ex-wife might appreciate a home-cooked meal. I can't imagine how stressful this must be." "That's thoughtful. Come in. I'll let Solene know you're here." He led Mara to the living room and went to get Solene. In the bedroom, he found his ex-wife sitting on the bed. "Mara's here. She brought food. I need you to come downstairs and act normal." Solene's face went white. "Your secretary? Please trust me. I'll be right there the whole time." They returned to the living room together. Mara stood by the window but turned when they entered. Her smile didn't waver, but something flickered in her eyes when she saw Solene up close. "It's nice to meet you. Damian's told me so much about you over the years." "Thank you for the food," Solene said softly. Mara set the basket on the coffee table. "I made tea as well. It's a special blend. Very calming. I thought you might need something soothing. She pulled out a thermos and 3 cups, poured tea into each one. This one's yours, she said, handing a cup to Solene. I added honey. Damian mentioned you have a sweet tooth. Damian watched Mara's movements carefully. Her back had been turned while she poured, long enough to add something no one would see. Solene reached for the cup. Mara's smile widened. Actually, Damian said, stepping forward, why don't we switch? I could use something calming myself. He took the cup from Solene and handed it to Mara. You drink this one. Solene, you take Mara's cup. Mara's smile froze. Oh, that's not necessary. I insist. Drink it. Mara stared at him. The mask finally slipped. Her expression went cold. You know. I found the security footage. I know you tried to kill her. I know you drove that car, and I know you just tried to poison her. Mara's expression hardened. For a moment, Damian thought she might run. But instead, she laughed, a bitter, brittle sound. Poison? That's dramatic. Just sleeping pills, enough to make her sick. Why? Damian's voice shook with rage. Why did you do this? Mara turned to him. Her eyes were bright with something manic. Because I love you. I've loved you since the day I started working for you. You were everything I wanted. Smart, ambitious, driven. We were perfect together. And then there was her. She spat the word at Solene. She was nothing, a freelance artist with no ambition. She was holding you back, making you soft. I knew if I could just get rid of her, you'd see that. You'd see me. So you terrorized her. You tried to kill her and our unborn child. I wanted her gone. I didn't care how. I sent the letters. I followed her. I broke into your house. And when none of that worked, I borrowed my brother's car and waited for the right moment. The front door burst open. Callum Briggs entered with 2 police officers. They'd heard everything through the hidden microphones. Mara didn't resist when they cuffed her. As they led her away, she looked back at Damian one last time. I did it for us. You'll see. Eventually you'll understand. Then she was gone. Solene collapsed onto the couch. Her whole body shook. Damian sat beside her, but she pulled away. It was real, Solene whispered. It was all real. Someone really did want to kill me. I know. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry I didn't see it. Dr. Rowan Patel arrived 30 minutes later. He gave Solene a sedative to help her sleep. When she finally went still, Damian stood in the hallway with the doctor. She's not okay. No, Dr. Patel agreed. She's not, and she won't be for a long time. That woman needs serious therapy, trauma counseling. She can stay here. I'll make sure she gets whatever help she needs. That night, Damian sat alone in his office. Solene was sedated in her room. Liam was asleep upstairs, unaware of the chaos swirling around him. He'd found the truth. He'd caught the person responsible. He'd done everything right. So why did it feel like he'd lost anyway? The next morning, Damian and Solene sat across from each other at the breakfast table. Neither had slept well. Liam was at school. Mara's in custody, Damian said. She confessed to everything. She'll go to prison for a long time. Solene nodded. She looked numb. You're safe now. The threat is over. Can I what? Solene interrupted. Go back to normal? Pretend the last 3 years didn't happen? Pretend I didn't abandon my son? You were protecting him. I was running away. I was so afraid I couldn't think straight. And now I'm back. And I don't know how to be here. I don't know how to be his mother. Damian reached across the table. Solene didn't pull away, but she didn't take his hand either. We'll figure it out together. As what? We're not married anymore. We're not even really friends. We're just 2 broken people who used to love each other. Maybe that's enough. Maybe we start there. They agreed on a fragile arrangement. Solene would stay in the guest house, separate from the main residence but still on the property. She'd see Liam regularly but not force a relationship. Damian would make sure she had everything she needed: therapy, medical care, time to heal. They'd be co-parents, nothing more. But as Damian watched Solene walk toward the guest house that evening, her shoulders hunched against the weight of everything she'd survived, he felt something crack inside his chest. She was here. She was safe. The nightmare was over. So why did this feel like the saddest ending of all? 3 weeks passed, then 4, then 2 months. Solene attended therapy 3 times a week. She took her medications. She followed the treatment plan. But she still lived in the guest house, still kept her distance, still startled at unexpected sounds. Damian watched from his office window as she walked the garden paths each morning. She moved like someone afraid the ground might disappear beneath her feet. Liam asked about her constantly. Why didn't the nice lady eat dinner with them? Why did she live in the small house? Could he show her his drawings? Damian said yes to the last question. He'd take Liam to the guest house after school, and they'd spend an hour together. Solene would sit stiffly while Liam showed her his artwork. She'd smile, but it never reached her eyes. One evening, Liam fell asleep during their visit. Damian carried him back to the main house, and when he returned, he found Solene standing by the window with tears streaming down her face. I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to be his mother. I missed everything. His first day of school, learning to read, all of it. I'm a stranger to him. You're here now. That's what matters. Is it? Or am I just making things harder? He has a life, a routine, a father who actually knows how to take care of him. Don't say you should leave again. We're past that. Are we? Because it doesn't feel like it. It feels like I'm still running, just in a different way. Damian had no answer, because she was right. They were living separate lives under the same sky, close enough to see each other but too far apart to actually connect. The next day, Damian made a decision. He couldn't force Solene to heal faster, but he could stop treating her like glass that might shatter. That evening, he knocked on the guest house door. Solene answered, looking exhausted. Have dinner with us tomorrow night, in the main house, as a family. Solene started to shake her head. Please. Liam's been asking, and I think it's time we stopped pretending this arrangement is working. The next evening, Solene appeared at the front door at exactly 6. She wore a simple dress Damian remembered from years ago. Liam lit up when he saw her. You're eating with us. They sat at the dining table together. Damian had cooked. Nothing fancy, just pasta and salad. But it felt monumental, the 3 of them in the same space, sharing a meal. Liam chattered through dinner about his day at school. Solene listened, actually smiled a few times, real smiles that reached her eyes. Damian felt something shift in his chest. After dinner, Liam asked if Solene wanted to see his room. She looked at Damian, uncertain. Go ahead. He watched them disappear upstairs, heard Liam's excited voice explaining his toy collection. For the first time in months, the house felt like a home. They made it a routine. Dinner together twice a week, then 3 times, then most nights. Solene slowly became part of their daily life. She helped Liam with homework, read him stories before bed, started painting again, small pieces at first, then larger canvases. Damian found himself looking for excuses to talk to her, asking her opinion on business decisions, discussing Liam's progress at school. Just being in the same room felt easier than it had in years. One night after Liam went to bed, they sat in the living room with coffee. Rain drummed against the windows. The first real storm since the night Damian found her. I talked to my lawyer today about custody, Solene said. I want to make it official that I'm Liam's mother, that I have rights. Damian set down his cup. Of course. I'll have my lawyer draw up whatever you need. Thank you. For everything. For not giving up on me even when I gave up on myself. I never gave up. He caught himself. Never stopped, Never stopped what? Loving her? Missing her? Hoping she'd come back? Solene looked up. Something in her expression made his breath catch. Never stopped what? Before Damian could answer, a crack of thunder shook the house. Solene jumped violently, coffee spilling across the table. She was on her feet instantly, backing toward the wall. It's just thunder. You're safe. But Solene wasn't hearing him. Her eyes had gone distant. Her breathing came fast and shallow. Solene, look at me. You're here. You're safe. She shook her head. Tears streamed down her face. I can't do this. I thought I could, but I can't. Another crash of thunder. Solene bolted for the door. Solene, wait! But she was already running out the front door into the storm. No coat, no shoes. Damian grabbed his jacket and went after her. Rain hit him like a wall. He could barely see through the downpour, but he spotted her heading toward the garden, toward the gate that led to the street. Solene, stop! She stumbled near the fountain. Damian caught up and grabbed her arm. She spun on him, eyes wild with panic. Let me go! I have to go! I'm going to hurt you. I'm going to hurt Liam. I ruin everything. That's not true, Damian said firmly, holding her shoulders. Look at me. That's not true. Yes, it is. I left him. I abandoned my baby. What kind of mother does that? A terrified one. A person who thought she was protecting the people she loved. You made the wrong choice, but you made it out of love. It doesn't matter. The damage is done. Damian pulled her closer. She collapsed against him. You don't have to fix it alone. You never did. That was the mistake we both made. You thought you had to handle everything yourself, and I was too blind to see you were drowning. Solene's hands clutched his jacket. I'm so tired, Damian. I'm so tired of being afraid, of feeling broken. Then stop trying to be normal. Normal is overrated. Just try to be here, present. That's enough. They stood in the rain for a long time. Eventually, Solene's breathing steadied. She pulled back slightly, looking up at him with red, swollen eyes. I never stopped loving you. Through everything, through all the fear and pain and years of running, I never stopped. A muscle worked in Damian's jaw. I never stopped either. I tried, God knows I tried, but I couldn't. What do we do now? We start over. Not where we were, where we are. Two broken people who love each other, trying to figure out how to be a family again. Solene touched his face with trembling fingers. I don't know if I can be what you need. You're already what I need. You're here. You're trying. That's everything. He kissed her then, soft and careful, like something precious he'd thought lost forever. She kissed him back with years of longing and regret and hope all tangled together. When they finally went back inside, soaking wet and exhausted, they found Liam sitting on the stairs in his pajamas. Why are you wet? Solene knelt in front of him. I had a bad dream. Your dad helped me feel better. Liam wrapped his small arms around her neck. I have bad dreams too sometimes. Dad says hugs help. Solene held him tight, crying silently into his shoulder. Damian watched his family piece itself back together, one moment at a time. The healing wasn't instant. There were setbacks, more nightmares, more moments of panic. But they faced them together now. Solene moved into the main house a month later. She took the bedroom down the hall from Damian's, separate but close. They went to therapy together, learned to communicate, learned to trust again. Damian cut back his hours at work. Solene started painting seriously. They built a new normal from the ruins of the old one. 6 months after that rainy night, Damian took Solene and Liam to the park. It was a bright afternoon in early spring. Flowers bloomed everywhere. Liam ran ahead to the playground. Damian stopped by a bench and turned to Solene. I have something to ask you. Solene looked at him curiously. Damian pulled out a small box. Inside was a simple silver band, nothing like the elaborate ring he'd given her the first time. I'm not asking you to marry me, not yet. You're not ready. And honestly, neither am I. But I want you to have this, as a promise, that I choose you. Today, tomorrow, every day after, no matter how hard it gets. Solene's eyes filled with tears. You don't have to answer now. Take your time. Yes, Solene interrupted. She was smiling and crying at the same time. Yes, I choose you too, every day. Damian slipped the ring onto her finger. They sat on the bench together, watching Liam play. Not married, not quite whole, but together. And that was enough. 3 months later, they did get married. A small ceremony in the garden with only close friends and family. Damian's mother, Evelyn, attended, tears in her eyes as she apologized to Solene for years of coldness. Liam served as ring-bearer, beaming with pride. The ceremony was simple. No elaborate vows or grand gestures, just two people promising to choose each other through the messy, complicated reality of life. Afterward, Damian found Solene standing alone by the fountain. Thinking about running? Solene smiled. No. Actually, for the first time in years, I'm not thinking about running at all. They watched Liam chase bubbles across the lawn, watched the sun set over their new beginning. Later that night, the three of them sat on the porch swing, Liam between his parents, already half asleep. Will you tell me the story about how you and Mom met? Damian and Solene looked at each other. There was so much pain in that story, so much they'd have to explain someday. But not tonight. Once upon a time, Damian began, there was a man who lost something precious. He thought it was gone forever, but then, one rainy night he found it again, and he realized some things are worth fighting for, no matter how broken they seem. What did he find? Liam asked sleepily. Damian looked at Solene. She smiled. His family. He found his family. Love isn't the absence of cracks. Love is choosing to hold the pieces together even after they've shattered. It's showing up day after day. It's forgiving the unforgivable. It's believing that broken things, when mended with care, can be stronger than they were before. And sometimes, the most beautiful stories are the ones that had to fall apart before they could truly begin.